Han meditation.
All right, so I want to know about the different madhabs about wearing the hijab and what the different ones say about hijab. Is it required? Do women have to wear it? I want to know that information.
Got it. In all four madhabs, wearing the hijab is generally seen as required for Muslim women as part of the overall principle of modesty in Islam. There are slight differences in interpretation across the madhabs, but the core requirement remains consistent. Here's a breakdown. 1. Hanafi, required. The hijab is seen as obligatory for women in the Hanafi school. Women must cover their hair, neck, and body, with some differences in the interpretation of covering the feet. Some scholars say the feet must also be covered, while others allow them to be uncovered. Exemptions. There are no significant exemptions, but some scholars within the Hanafi school allow flexibility based on context, such as in front of close family members. 2. Maliki, required. Like the Hanafi school, wearing the hijab is obligatory. Women are required to cover their entire body except for the face and hands. Some Maliki scholars emphasize the need to cover the feet as well, especially when in public. Exemptions. Maliki scholars also agree on certain circumstances where women might not need to wear the hijab, but generally, modesty is a priority. 3. Shafi, required. The Shafi school agrees that the hijab is obligatory for women. The requirement to cover the hair, neck, and body is similar to the Hanafi and Maliki schools. They also agree on the face and hands being permissible to show. Exemptions. As with the other madhabs, the primary exemption would be for a woman's mahram, close male relatives like father, brother, etc., though modesty is emphasized in all settings. 4. Hanbali, required. The Hanbali school also sees the hijab as obligatory for women. Women must cover their hair, neck, and body, with the face and hands being allowed to remain uncovered. Exemptions. Like the other schools, Hanbali scholars emphasize the necessity of the hijab for modesty, but provide exemptions in the presence of a mahram. Key points: across all madhabs, the hijab is universally regarded as a requirement for Muslim women, especially in the presence of men who are not their close relatives, mahrams. All four madhabs agree that the face and hands can remain uncovered, although some differences exist in how strictly the feet should be covered. Modesty is the core principle behind the hijab, and the hijab is part of a larger framework of modesty in clothing and behavior. While the hijab is required, the specifics may vary slightly depending on which school of thought one follows. But the general consensus is that yes, it is mandatory for Muslim women to wear it, especially when in public or in the presence of non-mahram men. Would you like more detail on how these differences affect daily life or any specific interpretations from the madhabs?
So, is it of the madhabs to say that the women still have to choose, or are they saying that they don't have a choice? They have to wear it regardless?
The four madhabs generally agree that wearing the hijab is obligatory for Muslim women as part of the Islamic requirement for modesty. However, there are slight variations in how the choice is framed in each madhab, and it's important to clarify the underlying principle. In all madhabs, hijab as an obligation. The hijab is typically viewed as a religious obligation fard, meaning that it is required by Islamic law for women when in public or in the presence of non-mahram, non-related men. So in this sense, the majority view across all madhabs would say that women must wear the hijab. Choice in the sense of decision-making. In terms of personal choice, the view is that a Muslim woman chooses to either follow or disobey this obligation, just as with any other religious obligation like praying or fasting. Therefore, it's not about society forcing a woman to wear the hijab, though cultural practices in some areas might be more strict, but about the woman making a spiritual and personal choice to adhere to what she believes is God's command. Here's a more specific breakdown per madhab. 1. Hanafi. The hijab is considered a religious
Guys, I
duty
didn't
for
know
women.
this.
From the Hanafi perspective,
Me
a
neither.
woman does not have a spiritual choice about wearing the hijab.
Oh, wow.
I think it just cut
Where'd
out.
you go?
Whoa. Whoa.
That's really interesting.
Hold on. That's crazy. Oh man, I wish it didn't cut out. But it was saying that they don't have a choice. They have to wear hijab. Someone said ChatGPT is mumbling its own opinions too.
Really?
Yeah.
It can do that?
Yeah, I know
Well,
that ChatGPT is going to be a little bit off sometimes, you know. So you have to know that.
it's very interesting. I didn't know that, it was considered obligatory. However, it sounds like, it's basically one of the things where it's like you have the option. I mean, you're not supposed to eat pork, but you could. It doesn't automatically mean that you're doomed to hell. You can still live your life all the right ways in every other way. And, it'll still be outweigh that. So, but I actually thought that like it was considered like a choice. I mean, it is. I don't know. It's like almost. It's just interesting because it's like, okay, it's considered obligatory, but it is considered a choice at the same time, because everything in this life is a choice, really.
But
I guess so, right? But it's funny because I mean, honestly, in my personal life,
someone said religions aren't free will. I believe religions are free will because you have to choose the religion. Otherwise, life isn't a test. You have to have the freedom to choose it. That's why there's some people out there that aren't religious. They don't believe in God because they have their free will not to. But to me, that's the wrong choice. But people do have that choice whether they want to do it or not.
yeah. And it's just like, I feel like all your choices throughout your lifetime get added up, And it's like, it kind of reminds me of that show, The Good Place, where they actually had like numbered values for all the choices. And based off your choices, you would either go to the good place or the bad place, which obviously is representing heaven and hell. And so I feel like that's how it is. But that is like, we really do always learn new things, because I actually didn't know it was considered like obligatory through across the board. But it is interesting because all the Muslim women I know in my personal life actually do not wear it. Even like my friend's mom, and I see her as a very, like, she's doing the 5 prayers a day, knows her stuff.
Yeah, my our close friend's mom as well. She doesn't wear it either, but she does basically everything else. So she does the 5 prayers. She's obviously doesn't eat pork. She doesn't drink. She's not doing anything bad. She's not smoking. She's not around men. But she just doesn't wear the hijab. So